Even when Bungie is upfront and honest, they get torn up by people. Even when they tell people they're doing something fucked up, people turn around and say Bungie is horrible after they do something fucked up. At least it's not as bad as a YouTube order being told to go fuck himself. So, Black Armory came out last week, and if you visit Reddit or their forums, all you see are complaints about how limited the content is, how shitty of a DLC this is, and how people feel that they are ripped off. Now, here's the thing. Bungie was upfront and honest about what was going to be in these content drops. That's not to say people can't have an opinion on shit. That's not to say people can't dislike the shit or the direction Bungie took with the content. But Bungie specifically said there is no storyline in Black Armory. It's not an expansion in their words. In our words, it's fucking content. But it's not a major expansion pack that extends the world we play in. It was meant to be some drip-fed content to keep people playing on this hamster wheel all year long. Now, I'm going to cut this argument down the middle right here because obviously people are going to say, oh, you're going to take a side against this shit? No. Fans are right that the content and storyline is light. The purpose of this is essentially a money grab. But that's not the reason idiots should be arguing. And Bungie is right in that they warned us what was going to be released and they communicated with us well in advance of their season pass. The crux of the problem lies with Bungie's ability to produce story and world-expanding content on a ridiculous timeline. Bottom line, Bungie just can't do shit fast enough. Sure, they might have ideas of what Destiny should be. They might have visions of lore and stories and enemies and concepts that they all want in the game. Their imagination can run wild as to what Destiny should look like, but they still need to make it. These ideas have to translate into a game that they can make, and the clear reality is Bungie can't meet their own internal conceptualization of the game, and they can't meet the expectation that fans have of the game when it comes to Destiny. That's not an excuse, and that's certainly not an alibi or a defense of Bungie. That's not a criticism of Bungie, and it's not an opinion of the community. That is just a clear fact at this point. Bungie can't keep up with players' appetite for Destiny content. With the original and the sequel, we got products that people were disappointed with. Then they followed both of those games with DLCs they called expansions that were lackluster between Curse of Osiris and Cruda's End. Then, the full year after the launch of the game, we got kick-ass DLCs in The Taken King and Forsaken. After The Taken King, though, for people that remember, there was a massive period of emptiness where the game had absolutely nothing released. They did some smaller free events, but otherwise, content was stale for months. That was until they launched The Taken Spring, a free update that allowed people the chance to go back into the Prison of Elders and shit like that. We got that new strike, you know, where basically we ran through the same story mission area as the Destiny 1 campaign. But again, free content, free cosmetics, a free power level upgrade for players to chase some new shit. The Black Armory is basically The Taken Spring. Only this time, we have to pay for it. And that is what the idiots bitching about are missing on this point. The content that we get in Black Armory is basically the equivalent of the free Taken Spring update that we got, except this time we're having to pay for it. You know, back when Bungie announced the annual pass, I was in full-on skeptic mode. And it was for this very reason. It sounded like the game was trying to sell us shit that they already gave us free in the past, because if you just look at the comparison of the content that we got, there was no major storyline in the Taken Spring update. There was no overarching new bad guy or threat. Sure, we got Malak, a giant Taken Knight, talking about how he was going to take over for Oryx. We got a couple of Prison of Elder encounters, including Varix yelling, "Psylocke the Defiled!" Y'all remember that shit? I know everyone's headphones just took off like, oh, what the fuck did you just do? Yeah, we had to go through that shit when they launched that fucking update. So because we had to go through that shit, you're going through it now. Oh, man, that shit was loud as fuck. And then they also, again, they bumped up our light level 35 levels back when the Taken Spring was launched. Black Armory is on the same path. We have no storyline. There's no major bad guy other than this shit about the forges and shit like that. Instead of a strike, we're getting a raid lair, which essentially people have already finished in like 15 minutes and shit like that. It's a pretty decent raid lair, I must admit. However, I also have to be honest in saying that I did not get into the raid this weekend. For the third straight fucking raid, I have not been high enough power level on the first weekend, which to me frustrates the shit out of me because I was fully prepared for this shit. I had every powerful bounty. I knew what to do in order to get my power level up pretty decently. However, two things happened. One, I couldn't grind out prime engrams like some of the other people, like streamers who don't have shit to do, basically sat down and played all fucking day long. And then number two, RNG fucked me over so badly, man. I got so fucked over on this DLC, it's not even funny. Almost every powerful engram that I decrypted would go into a slot where I already had something high level. It pissed me the fuck off. I would get a 605 helmet, and then I would get another powerful engram. What do I get? 606 helmet. 2 powerful gear drops later, 607 helmet. I was like, come on, man. Every fucking thing that I needed, it just would not drop in the slot that I got. So essentially, I really got fucked over on the power level this time around. But in any event, besides getting into the raid, we also got the Forges, a 3-man activity against waves of AI. Basically, it's similar to the Prison of Elders. We got a 50 power level bump, a new vendor with Ada and updated gear. But of course, the new content of Black Armory is only available if you buy the annual pass. Now, I know that they already sort of separated out what comes with the annual pass, what doesn't come with the annual pass, well, basically what you would get with the base Forsaken DLC. If you didn't buy the annual pass, these are the things that you got. But here's the thing about the annual pass. It's not even DLC like a la carte. You have to buy the whole fucking pass, man. You automatically get the 2 other drops even if you don't want those shit. So basically, people are now paying for the free updates that we got before. Similar to the Taken Spring, the Age of Triumphs. That is what the community should be frustrated with. The fact that whatever Bungie was doing before is goodwill towards the community with these events that gave you some different activities, now we're paying for them. Instead of a full DLC, even as shitty as Curse of Osiris could have been, or decent as Warmind was, or the Taken King, or the Rise of Iron, now we're starting to pay for the free ideas to essentially extend the life cycle of Destiny to 1 full year. Now, as much as people want to complain about the lack of shit in the DLC, you really can't bitch too much about that. They couldn't have made it clearer that the game was going to be light on story and that it was only going to be an extension of content that we're already playing. Now, I'm not happy with the fact that I'm basically running my same 3 strikes, my same Nightfalls, Gambit matches, Crucible matches. They really didn't add much content other than the Forge. I would have thought they would have expanded some of the Forge things to some of the other ideas. Maybe you have to play Gambit so you can forge another weapon. Maybe you have to play some Crucible because you want to add some new perks onto existing guns. They had an opportunity here. But again, they went light. They didn't go full on with a DLC. So this is the result that we got. I can't say that I am perfectly happy with this DLC. The fact that people had struggled to get into the Forges on day 1, so they had to lower the power level. The fact that the raid is a little out of my reach, so I can't get into it on week 1. But I paid for all this shit. I basically paid to play the same crap that I've been playing just to rank up. It's not that I'm happy with it. I knew this was coming, so I can't criticize Bungie. But like other people, I would have liked a little bit more. Maybe a strike. Maybe a strike to open up the Forge. Maybe each Forge has an entry-level strike or something like that, or 1 strike leads to 2 Forges. Something would have provided at least some bit of story or context as to what we're doing. Right now, you have this bullshit where Ada, a fucking robot, was in a goddamn tower that nobody fucking noticed when we were building this shit. Nobody noticed there was a goddamn port all the way on the side of the goddamn tower called the Annex, and not one person went through the fucking thing? Come on, man. I know they didn't really have any space to put this shit anywhere. They could have probably put it at the fucking farm. But in any event, overall, Black Armory and part of the overall annual pass is not what people are expecting. It's not what we're usually used to getting when it comes to DLCs. It's more like a free update that we're now having to pay for. But we can't blame Bungie too much because they were upfront and honest about this. They didn't pull an EA, they didn't pull a Bethesda, they didn't pull an Activision. They actually told us in advance, this is what you're getting and not getting. And if you want to buy it, cool. You get suckered into buying it. If not, continue to stay away from this motherfucker. So anyway, as always, rate, comment, subscribe, and all that good shit. And I'll see you guys in the next video.